Welcome, writers, readers, and friends to the Authors Talking Bookish podcast. I'm Donna Norman Carbone, author of All That Is Sacred.
And I'm Hope Gibbs, author of Where the Grass Grows Blue.
We're two debut writers traditionally published by a small publishing house, bringing to you all the experiences that we as authors learn the hard way, so you don't have to.
We'll give you insights from the inception of a book idea to publication and beyond. And along the way, we'll share our love of books from the writer's perspective.
Hello, friends. Welcome back. This is episode 42. Today, we're going to be talking about writing the dreaded book jacket summary and pitch. I'm Donna Carbone, and I am joined by Hope Gibbs. Hi, Hope. How are you today?
I am great, Donna. How are you?
I'm great. Loving this moving into spring.
Okay, so I don't know if you can see in the background that little yellow flowers. Those are my beloved. I know they're called daffodils, but where I'm from, we used to call them buttercups. I will always call them buttercups. And these were my first ones in my yard. They were about 2.5 weeks later this year than they've been the last 2 years, which was really surprising.
We haven't even seen any daffodils or buttercups in our yard. Do you actually have buttercups there?
No,
because we have flowers called buttercups, and they're like little tiny. I think there's like 5 petals of yellow, and we used to like twirl them under our chin. And if you could see like the reflection, that was supposed to be good luck.
No, we do not have that kind of flower down here.
Yeah.
And it's funny because it was my mother-in-law of all people. I'm into my 30s and I'm calling it buttercups. And she could not understand because she's from the north. And she showed me a picture of what a real buttercup is. But for me, behind me, my daffodils are blooming. They're all over my yard right now. My cherry trees are starting to bloom. So it's starting to look like spring, but I know enough to be in Tennessee. Don't be fooled, because I'm sure we're going to have one more little cold snap before we get to true spring.
Yeah, I know. I feel like that too. I can't wait to see flowers. I love when I see them sprouting up, the daffodils and the crocus flowers. Do you have crocus?
Oh, yes, we have crocus. I love those, and I love hyacinths.
Yeah.
Those are beautiful, and they're just delightful. I only have a few in my yard. The squirrels, I think, got a hold of some of them because you have to plant them deep. But so what are you up to right now? What are you reading? What are you doing? Are you having speaking engagements? Are you doing craft festivals?
Yeah, I actually have a craft festival coming up this weekend that I'm super excited about. And I'm going to be the featured author on Bookish Road Trip Book Club this month. So I'm super excited to talk to Barbara Conry and all the book club members. It's always a fun time.
Yeah.
I'm like lining up events, which is very cool.
Yeah. I didn't do anything around the holidays, and last week was one of my busiest weeks I've had in a long time. I spoke at a book festival at the University of Louisville in Louisville on Saturday. Then I was on Channel 2 News here in Nashville on a talk show. And then I was the keynote speaker for the Junior League of Nashville's 2025 Summit, which was a terrifying moment because it wasn't just about speaking about books. It was, inspiring women. And it was an amazing opportunity, although it was nerve-wracking too.
Yeah, I know. I love that. Hope actually shared part of her speech with me, and it was very inspirational. I think you did a great job.
Thank you. And of course, I had to use a Kentucky horse reference. But
Yeah.
so real quick, what are you reading right now?
So I am reading an arc of it's called The Marriage Debt, and it's by Christina Consolino. And I have to tell you, as somebody who is on the other side of menopause, this book is about a woman who's going through menopause and feeling all the feels in her body that menopause brings. So many changes to the way we think and the way we feel. And it affects her marriage. And so I'm really into this book a lot because it's something that I can connect with.
Wow. I love that. I'm going to have to check that out when it actually comes out.
Yeah, it comes out in May. So look for that.
I will.
And what are you reading?
So I am reading Everything We Thought Was True, or I'm not reading it now. I have finished it. This is by Lisa Montanaro, and You and I know Lisa from years ago with the WFWA. She is one of their biggest and brightest supporters, and she does their webinars.
Yeah.
And she wrote this. This is her debut nonfiction book, and I
Mhm.
interviewed her for Bookish Road Trip Author Take the Wheel just this past week. And she's wonderful. She has a wonderful story. This book, I can't recommend it enough. It is an Italian family saga about secrets and also the power of forgiveness. So, highly recommend everyone read it.
That sounds right up my alley, and
Yeah.
we love Lisa Montanaro here.
Yeah.
We quote her quite a bit when we talk
Yes.
branding. She did a
Yes.
wonderful brand webinar for WFWA, and, it's one of the most memorable webinars that I've watched.
Yeah.
So it's affected me greatly, and she's our pub sister. She's
She
with
is.
Red Adept as well, so that's super exciting.
And I talked to her. I think that she may be showing up on a podcast that you and I might know coming up later in the year because we would have a lot to discuss with Lisa, not just being an author, but
Yeah,
she also is a book coach and she is a public speaker. So she wears a lot of hats, plus
yeah,
her work with the WFWA.
yeah, yeah, I'm excited about that.
So, Donna, why don't you tell us what is this podcast about?
So, today we're going to talk about why it's so easy for writers to write an entire novel and so dang hard to write a book jacket summary or a pitch. So, we're going to discuss what each of them are and our best tips on how to write them.
Yeah. I couldn't believe how hard this was. So I did my book jacket before I started querying because you want to kind of know it for yourself how you can pull it from, into your query letter and all. But then when I did get my deal with Red Adept, they were very much that I needed to write it, but they were very, it has to be so many words. And I stressed, like I wrote at first a 120,000 word manuscript, got it down to 95, and I could not manage just about 3 or 4 paragraphs. I don't know about you, but was this difficult for you the first time, or maybe it was easier the second time for you?
No, it was not. Not the first time, not the second time, not the third time. Yeah, it's very hard to whittle your book down. And, one of the things that Lynn, our publisher, told us when we were trying to craft our summary is that it should really only include about the first 25% of
Hmm.
the book, that you should not include any details beyond that, just a teaser. And so that was hard too, to decide, what exactly do we want to include? What details are going to really capture the reader's attention? So, yeah, difficult.
So I've got this graphic up, and it's for those of you who are watching us on YouTube, but those listening, it's writing the dreaded book jacket summary and pitch. So a summary is a hook. You want to include your main characters, the setting and theme, and this is really important. It's the conflict, or what we would say stakes. Donna, what do you want to add about to that?
Nothing really except, well, I guess, your book jacket summary should be written in the third person, even if that is not the perspective that you use in the novel. So it should be, an omniscient narrator kind of telling this story, if you will. It should include voice. So you really want to kind of have the voice that reflects the voice that you are going to share in the novel. And it needs to captivate the reader, most importantly, and it needs to flow.
Yeah. Yeah, and you talked about, let's talk about the length though. It should be
Yeah.
between 100 and 200 words in length. And that was what kept throwing me off.
Mhm.
The first couple of tries at it, I was including way too much information that I thought was important. And really that summary is to get someone's attention. They don't want to read, a 5-page synopsis. It's got to fit. And I have my book right here, it's got to fit right here on the book jacket on the back. And
Yeah.
I've got some other examples here, like some on the back they don't have the summary, and you find it on the inside of the jacket. But
Mhm.
you just need to give the pertinent information, but absolutely the characters' names and the setting, because people want to know when they're reading this book, where are they traveling to, so to speak.
Yeah. I know I always think it's interesting in asking readers what's the thing that attracts you most to the book. Is it the cover? Is
Mhm.
it the book jacket summary? And I think it's about 50-50, right?
Yeah,
I think people see the cover first, but then your first inclination is to look at the book jacket summary. And if you like that, then you might open the first page and read the first page and decide whether you're going to read the whole book or not. So
yeah.
it's super important.
It's very important, and, sometimes I have picked up a book, didn't read the book jacket, and just started reading, and then within the first chapter, I'm like, "I better read the book jacket because it kind of, as a reader, prepares you
Yeah.
to where you're going, a
Yeah.
and what to look for, what little clues at the beginning, like, "Ooh, that might not be as important as other clues."
Yeah.
And so let's do an example of a book cover that you
Sure.
did. This is your book cover of
Yeah.
Lies and Honey.
Mhm.
Talk about this one and give a little bit. I mean, we can read some of it, but give a little bit of your background of Lies and Honey.
So, for this book jacket summary, the challenge that I had is that this book is told in three different perspectives. And so I needed to give each of the women's perspectives without really encapsulating the story because I needed a little flavor of
Mhm.
the kinds of stories that you were going to get because they're parallel stories that run through. So, what I did was give just a short paragraph for each of the three women, and then I pulled them together in the last paragraph, and that's where I put my teaser.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let me just read the last paragraph where I pull them together. As Harper, Callie, and Raina deal with their strife surrounding motherhood, their lives collide in unexpected ways. A dark secret forces them to make choices that will alter their roles as mothers and daughters forever.
Oh, wow. Yeah. And you did have a challenge because in your book, for me, they're all three main characters. And so
Mhm.
you had to do a paragraph for each. And I know that, but you're also your first book, you had a lot of characters, but Lynn was still
Mhm.
the main character where you could focus on her. So this one was a little more tricky.
Yeah, yeah, it definitely was. Um, so let's take a look at your book jacket summary and tell me what kinds of challenges you were met with when you were writing this and maybe read your favorite part.
Well, I had to start with the inciting incident, and it's
Mhm.
Penny Crenshaw's divorce and her husband's swift remarriage to a much younger woman have been hot topics around Atlanta social circles for years. So, obviously, I wanted to make sure everyone knew that it starts out in Atlanta, but it's really important that, as after a year of enduring the gossip, Penny leaps from the frying pan into the fire by heading back to Kentucky to settle her grandmother's estate. And so then you know that this story is going to be taking place in Kentucky. And I talk about, Penny's dysfunctional childhood family. But also the biggest pain is, her heartache is down the street with Bradley Hitchens, her childhood best friend, keeper of her darkest secrets, and the boy who shattered her heart. And then I want to talk about, Penny sorting through her grandmother's memories, but colorful people are coming back into her life. And she now remembers that unique warmth and fellowship that only Kentucky can provide. And at the very end, it says, now that fate has forced Penny back, she must either let go of the scars of her past or risk losing a second chance at love. Can she learn to live an unbridled life? And the unbridled life was also a nod back to Kentucky because
Mhm.
Kentucky is known for a lot of things, but horses, bourbon, and basketball is pretty much what people
Mhm.
think when they hear Kentucky.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that you have the stakes in there at the end. I think that's real important. What her choice is going to be and what is going to happen as a result of these
Yeah.
choices. My favorite sentence in your summary is the one about Bradley Hitchens, the keeper of her darkest secrets and the boy who shattered her
Yeah.
heart. That was the one that like really drew me in, and I was like, I want to know more about this relationship.
Oh, thank you. I yes,
You're
I
welcome.
I loved Bradley and Penny's story. I still love their story.
Yeah,
So let's talk about there's a difference between a jacket summary and then a pitch. Do you
right.
want to give us a little bit about the pitch?
Sure. So the pitch is usually one sentence and it really is a whittled down version of your summary. It includes the character descriptor. Notice that we're going to give you a couple of samples, but you don't necessarily have to say the character's name. You could say a woman, a young man, whomever your main character is. It should include the inciting incident. It should include the conflict and stakes and the goal, and it needs to be memorable and concise. It should be approximately 20 to 30 words.
Yeah, and you're going to hear this called the elevator pitch, and it's kind of the if you get on an elevator with a stranger and they know you've written a book, tell me about your book, and you should only say enough for one floor. Is basically that's the whole point of an elevator pitch, and this was also something that I struggled with to bring in 95,000 words into that amount,
Yeah.
but it is so important. And if you are writing your book currently, you're trying to find a publisher, or you're even at the very, very beginning of outlining it, start thinking about this pitch because it will help you in the long run. I can't tell
Mm.
you how many times I have said my, elevator pitch. Mine is where the grass grows blue is one woman's journey to either accept her troubled past by embracing the power of forgiveness or risk losing a second chance at love in a small Kentucky town.
Yeah.
So I cannot tell you how many times I use that.
Right.
What about you, Donna? Give me your
Yeah.
pitch for Of Lies and Honey.
So my pitch for Of Lies and Honey is three women over two time periods, all struggling with some aspect of motherhood. Um, their stories collide based on one location and one dark secret that threatens their roles as mothers and daughters. And the thing that I think is really important to understand about a pitch is that you use it in a variety of ways.
Yes.
Um, the first way that I used pitches were I would do pitch events
Mhm.
with All That Is Sacred. And so they just allow you to give your elevator pitch, and then they ask, and then it's like a contest that used to happen on formerly Twitter. Um, but so an agent would see it, and if your pitch interested them, then they would request more. Um, the other way that you use your pitch is in a query letter. You can
Yeah.
include your pitch just to hook the agent in. And then, as Hope said, when I'm at events and when people come up to my table and ask what my books are about, I give them my pitch for each of my books. I'm not going to give them the whole summary. And if they want to know more, then, we can take it from there, but I don't want to waste their time or my time. So the pitch really comes in handy.
Yeah. And then, kind of even going back to writing the book jacket, I read an article about people who write their book jacket first and
Yeah.
then they go off from that story. And Donna and I are kind of doing a collaborative book, and that's what I did. I wrote the book jacket first,
Yeah.
sent you a pitch, sent you an elevator pitch, a tagline, and said, "Are you interested?" And you're like, "Yes." So that's
Yeah.
something that we're working on right now. And so you could even, if you're like you have an idea of a book and you don't know where to start, do it backwards. Write that summary. Not that it's going to stay that for the whole time, but it really is giving us focus on where this story is going.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, I didn't even know what an elevator pitch was when I first wrote my novel until
Mhm.
after.
Yeah.
And I really learned, how to start marketing it. But now every novel that I've written since, I actually write the pitch first. I
Mhm.
don't write the summary. I go from pitch to outline to drafting.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I think I don't know. For me, the pitch is like that bottom line, like what is the essence of this book?
Yes, I
Yeah.
agree. And again, we use it so much. And it's like you said, we use it when we're speaking to readers. It could be at a library event or just someone random, when people find out that I've written a book, I might be on the
Yeah.
tennis court and I can't tell them, "Oh, well, it's this love story between Bradley and Penny," and I can't do that. And if I tell them that and they're like, "Oh, well, tell me more," then I can give a little bit more details. But it's
Right.
quick, it's easy, and also make it something that you can remember because you are going to be saying it a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. And something that's really going to whet the reader's appetite because, oftentimes I'll be at an event and I'll share my pitch with people and they're like, "Oh, that sounds
Yeah.
interesting."
Well, the
So,
last thing we really need to talk about, and I did not do this for my
mhm.
our book, but you have done this, and it is the tagline. You want to talk about that real quick?
Yeah, so the tagline is even reduced from a pitch. And the tagline is something that comes after the title. On my book jacket, it's actually at the top, but I have a tagline for both of my books. Actually, the tagline for Of Lies and Honey is three women, two eras, one secret, and that just kind of puts
Mhm.
people in the mindset while they're looking at the cover before they actually go to the book jacket. Not all books have them,
No.
but many do.
Mhm.
And you know what? I wasn't given the choice with either one. It was just, what do you want your tagline to be?
Yeah. They didn't wanna do a tagline on my book, and I don't know if it was because with my book, and I'll even hold it up, it's very busy because the flowers are so
Yeah.
important to the story, and they really could not find a place to put it on, and so for me, I mean, I would have loved to have done one, but I would have also struggled with coming up with 3 words because yours absolutely captures what what you're getting ready to read.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, well, we're going to be wrapping this up. And so, Donna, as our school teacher, even though summer is almost here, what is
Mhm.
our due now? What is our homework?
So your homework is to, based on the guidelines that we provide on the show notes, to either dive in and either write a summary or a pitch, depending on which you feel like would be the easier thing for you to do.
Mhm.
For me, it's a pitch for sure. Um, and then I would move to the book jacket summary. If you're like Hope, you might start with the book jacket summary and then whittle it down to a pitch. The one thing that I strongly recommend that I think was so helpful in writing my book jacket summary, especially, is to share it with a few friends and to see just how it flows. I know I've shared my book jacket summary with Hope and other authors, and it's just so helpful to get their feedback. Because you read something over and over and over again and you don't see kind of the pitfalls of it,
Yeah.
and so it's nice to have someone else take an objective view on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Donna, we are going to wrap this up. And I just want to remind everyone you can find us on Spotify, Apple, Amazon, YouTube, and also check us out on Instagram. And our website is authorstalkingbookish.com. So, Donna, do you have one final thought for everyone today?
Well, one thing is we would love it if you would subscribe to our podcast. And you'll get notice every single time we drop a new one. That really helps us out, and share it with friends. Um, and our next episode is going to be an interview with a New York Times and international best-selling author, J.D. Barker. We have so many things to talk to him about. He's the author of Something I Keep Upstairs, which is new. And he has an amazing giveaway that he's going to share. So we can't wait to talk to him.
Yes. Well, everyone, thank you so much for joining us. And until next time.
Have a great day.
Thank you for joining us today. I'm Hope Gibbs.
And I'm Donna Norman Carbone. It's time for you to get to work.
We look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks with another tip from your author friends.